Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about probably one of the weirdest movies. And I don't mean that in like this movie's bad or anything like that. I really enjoyed it. We are going to be talking about the 1986 Transformers, the movie. Not to be confused with the 2007 one, I'm talking about the G1 movie. That's how specific we have to be now. The G1 Transformers movie. This is a continuation. I believe this happened after season 2, before season 3, because that's when everybody like Hot Rod or Optimus Prime, Ultramax, and stuff like that made their debut full time in the show because of a certain thing that happened in this movie, which we will get to soon. I had a fun time with this movie. Uh-oh. Breathed on that wrong. Stand. There we go. If I breathe on that wrong, it's gonna fall. So yeah, I really had a fun time with this movie. I know that, it's an 80s kids cartoon, which only meant one thing: sell toys. That's pretty much every 80s TV show that was released at the time pretty much was. It was just made to sell toys. G.I. Joe, Ninja Turtles, Transformers, like so many 80s cartoons were made just to promote and sell the toys, and Transformers was one of them. Is that a bad thing? Not really. You gotta find a good way to market your products if you want people to buy them, and making toys based off the characters is a really good way to do it. Even though I think the toys came first. I don't remember. But this film had the most controversy I think I've ever seen. Before we get into that, let's go through the story. Again, like I said, this is around between season 2 and season 3. The movie starts off with this new character by the name of Unicron, who is pretty much a sentient Death Star who doesn't blow up planets, he eats them. Yeah, eats. Like, it powers himself. It's ridiculous. It's such a really good opening scene. And then after that whole opening where he completely eats a planet, we see what happens, how he digests it and stuff like that, and what it powers, his whole system. We get probably one of the coolest opening credits I think I've ever heard in a movie. It plays like, the classic good Transformers theme, but it's like this heavier rock, and it is so good. Every time I hear it on my car, like in my radio, it's so fun. It's just one of those songs you have to sing along to. And then after that, we get our classic narration from the show, which is always fun to hear. He's such a fun narrator. He explains that it's 2005, the Decepticons have taken over, but the Autobots are on moon bases 1 and 2, planning to retake their home planet. Optimus Prime, voiced by Peter Cullen, the legend himself, sends off Ironhide and Prowl, Brawn, and Ratchet to go to Earth to collect more Energon cubes. But little do they know, after they take off, they're attacked by the Decepticons, led by Megatron, voiced by Frank Welker, again from the show. And I guess at this point we can talk about the main controversy on why this movie was loved but also very hated. So many main characters die in this movie. Some of them come back later in the series, but they mostly just get offed in this movie, and it is a shock to see, because everybody on the show, Ironhide, Brawn, Prowl, and Ratchet, all of them gone. They are, if you're shot, you're dead in this movie. And that left a lot of weird tastes in people's mouth, especially kids. This is I'm looking at the back of the box right now, PG. This movie means something, because another thing that's in it, there's some swearing in this. Spike Witwicky drops the S-bomb. It's ridiculous. Yeah, PG. Back when PG meant something, as people say. After the Decepticons take over the ship, we're introduced to Hot Rod and Spike's son, Daniel. And we get a really nice car moment with them, a nice racing moment. We're also introduced to Cup, and we see a couple other familiar faces. And so, a lot of fun characters do make cameos in this show, but not a lot of them get, their own screen time. Their own, designated, hey, I'm here moment. They're just hey, how's it going? They're gone. And then Hot Rod and them discover that the ship has been taken over. They start firing at them, and the Decepticons invade all of Autobot City. And I feel like that's kind of early. When I first thought that this movie was happening, or not happening, when I first saw this film, I thought that the final battle was going to be on Autobot City. And next thing I know, it's literally the beginning of the movie. So I'm like, when I was watching it again, because it's been a while since I've watched it, before I was, more matured with talking about movies and stuff like that, I kind of was thinking, like, what happens next? What could possibly top this? And then during the middle of the invasion, we're introduced to our main characters, pretty much the main Autobot stars of our film. We've got Perceptor, Ultra Magnus, RC, Springer, and Cup and Hot Rod. They're pretty much our main go-getters of this movie. Which means something else. We're going through the whole battle and stuff like that, and we're also introduced to one of my personal favorite G1 characters, Blaster, who's pretty much the Autobot version of fan favorite Soundwave. And I love this character so much. But yeah, he radios Prime, letting them know, like, hey, we're in the middle of a turf war right now. We need your help. And then more chaos and stuff ensues. More awesome lines are delivered. We see more casualties like Windcharger and Wheeljack. Really sad to see them dead because I love those characters so much. More stuff ensues. We get an awesome moment with Devastator, breaking their defenses and their turrets and stuff like that. Really cool. And one thing that I think that they did in the movie that I don't think they did in the show, I think they had all the Constructicons voice Devastator. Like, I don't think it was just like one person. I don't remember hearing like all of them talking in unison. I think they did that for the movie, which was awesome to hear. Because that's what I kind of feel like a combiner should do. All the voices talk in unison. Kind of like what the Gem Fusions do in Steven Universe. Like, I really like that idea. I like how all of them are talking at the same time as this one character. That's awesome. And then during the whole Devastator fight, Prime joins in the fight and stuff like that. But we get an awesome moment with the Dinobots, which is really cool. They're fan favorites as well. Like, they all try to team up against Devastator. And then we get the best part of the movie, Optimus versus Megatron. We get, again, cool soundtrack. We get Stan Bush singing one of the coolest 80s songs of all time, The Touch, while Prime solos this entire area. Like, I think he runs into Thrust, shoots Soundwave, and Astrotrain and Dirge, I think. And then he goes solo on Megatron, which was one of the coolest fights ever. And I hate talking about this part, but I have to. But Hot Rod jumps in, stops Optimus from shooting him because he doesn't want to shoot his Autobot. Prime ends up getting shot and gives a massive hit to Megatron, causing him to fall off, like, I think 3 stories. And then Prime dies. Yeah, Optimus Prime actually dies in this movie. It's the moment that scarred many, many people's childhood back in the 80s. It was truly a heartbreaking scene. Like, my friend's dad went to go see this film in the theater. He and, like, I think there was like 40 other kids, he said, in the theater were bawling their eyes out. And I believe it. Looking back on it now, I believe how many kids were traumatized. To the point that the writers of the movie, like, people will walk up to them and said, hey, you ruined my childhood, right? Like, wow, like, that took balls to do. Killing off this fan favorite character that many people grew up with. And they brought it back in Revenge of the Fallen. But yes, Optimus Prime dies from his wounds and passes on this new artifact that we've never seen I don't think we've ever seen in the show before, called the Matrix of Leadership. He passes it down to Ultra Magnus. And then after that, oh God, I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about that scene because of how sad it was. We then cut to another dead character who's pretty much almost biting the dust, Megatron. So Starscream, you know how he always is. He wants to be the one-up guy. Throws Megatron and a bunch of other wounded cons off the ship in the middle of space. And they come across Unicron, who will give Megatron a brand new body, new troops to command, only if he kills Ultra Magnus and destroys the Matrix. But Megatron was hesitant at first because nobody summons or commands Megatron. He follows his own rules. But Unicron, being the massive planet and big thing that he is, especially with the newer continuities and stuff like that, giving him much more dark lore, tortures him for like 3 seconds until he ultimately gives in. And then Megatron is, refurbished and rebuilt into Galvatron, voiced by Leonard Nimoy, in one of my favorite roles of his. I love Leonard Nimoy. Rest in peace. And then he transforms, I think, Thundercracker and Skywarp into the Sweeps. No, he transforms the Insecticons into the Sweeps, and then he transforms Skywarp and Thundercracker into... No, okay. I can't remember. They're all piled up, but he transforms some of them into the Sweeps with Scourge, not to be confused with Scourge from Rise of the Beast. That's completely different. And Cyclonus. And then they go to Cybertron, and next thing we know, another character dies. Starscream is holding this, big coronation because he loves himself so much. Literally a crown, big cape, and everything. And then we get the whole bad comedy situation. He jumps out, Galvatron jumps out of the plane, declares bad comedy, transforms into a turret, and shoots Starscream point blank. Like point blank range. He disintegrates, stomps on the ground, and retakes command of the Decepticons. Little do we know, Unicron's not far behind and tears apart Moonbase 1 with Jazz and Cliffjumper still on board. And then they send out the distress signal, but the Autobots need to evacuate Autobot City because next thing we know, the Decepticons are coming back after taking back over and trying to destroy the Matrix. Hot Rod, Cup, and the Dinobots evacuate on one shuttle, and Ultra Magnus, Springer, RC, and Perceptor, and Blur. I forgot about Blur, sorry. And Blur and Daniel all evacuate on another shuttle. More chases ensues and stuff like that. Hot Rod's ship is shot down with the Dinobots, and the other shuttle with Ultra Magnus and everybody, they depart 3/4 of the ship, with like barely anything left, to think that they somewhat destroyed them. They all land on the planet of Junk. The Dinobots and Hot Rod land on the planet of the Quintessons. They both kind of happen simultaneously, but I want to talk about one area first and then we'll go into the other. So we'll start with the Quintessons because that's kind of my least favorite area. So Hot Rod and Cup are fighting this robot squid and piranhas, and then they escape. He rebuilds Cup, and they go looking for the Dinobots, but are intercepted by Gatorcons. Yeah, transformers that transform into alligators and stuff like that. And then they're taken to be held trial by the Quintessons. I'm not going to really give too much of them away because we learn more about them in the later seasons. Because we didn't really learn anything about them either. They were just introduced. They have this whole trial thing, and if you're guilty or innocent, it doesn't matter what, they're cruel bastards. They'll drop you into a pool and have you be devoured by Sharktracons. Cup and Hot Rod survive because they're obviously the main characters. The Dinobots come back, they steal a ship and go. So now we'll go to where the other team is. So Ultra Magnus' team, I think I'm just going to refer to them as Team A from now on, or just Team Magnus. Team Magnus lands on the planet of Junk, where there are other Cybertronians called Junkions. They're pretty much like rebuilt robots of like busted up scrap and random sparks, I think is what it was. There's a whole lore. It's so confusing. And their leader, Wreck-Gar, voiced by Eric Idle. I'm not kidding. Eric Idle voices a Transformer. And it's amazing. They have this whole chase after the Decepticons destroy Ultra Magnus and Galvatron steals the Matrix. They have this whole fight with the Junkions with Weird Al Yankovic singing a song, which is awesome as hell. Hot Rod and the others are... God, I need to stop bumping these things. It's ridiculous. Hot Rod's team arrives, they all form an alliance, and they go over to destroy Unicron. Galvatron, the reincarnation of Megatron, doesn't take kindly to being commanded by others, so he tries to unleash the Matrix, but it's like Thor's hammer. He's not worthy. So then, Unicron transforms. As if it wasn't obvious enough, Unicron is a planet transformer. He transforms into this giant robot with his planetary rings becoming these like side spikes, and he has these devil horns. And he goes to attack Cybertron. And then all the Decepticons are trying to fight him. Then both Autobot teams go to attack. Everybody's fighting this guy, but Magnus's team and Hot Rod and Cup go inside of his body from his eye. They literally crash into his eye and land in his body. Hot Rod is separated from the others. Daniel runs off, finds his dad, and Jazz, Bumblebee, and Cliffjumper. I forgot to mention that part. I forgot to mention that. Sorry. Earlier, he also destroyed Moonbase 2 with Bumblebee and Spike. So then, after Daniel finds his dad and Bumblebee, he shoots them down with the exosuit, saves all of them, and then we cut to Hot Rod fighting Galvatron for a bit, and it's a nice little fight. They're throwing insults and stuff like that, and Hot Rod takes the Matrix, and he becomes the next Prime. He takes the Matrix off, and he's declared worthy by Optimus Prime, and they have their final fight. Galvatron's got thrown out. He unleashes the power of the Matrix, and they all win the day, and pieces throughout, and the Decepticons live to fight another day. So the story overall it's pretty nice. I do like the story, but I do feel like the reason why they killed off characters is kind of obvious. If you couldn't see it by the way I was describing the story, let me put it to you this way. Again, Transformers is made to market toys. And if you're going to be introducing new characters, some characters got to go. So they just killed off most of the old cast to make room for this new cast. Is that a smart decision for a marketing standpoint? Kinda. You gotta get a way to push people to go after your product. But it's kind of stupid because it's pretty much saying like, oh, my favorite character's dead. Psh, time to make room for the new guy. It's kind of lazy because most people really love these characters. I love Ironhide. I love Prowl. And when they died, just to make room for these other characters, I'm like, be nice to see them interact. I thought I would like to see them. Like Ironhide and Cup kind of have like the same old witty banter and stuff like that. I would have loved to see them interact, but nope, they're dead. Prime's dead. We gotta get a new Prime. Like Prime is one of the most iconic cartoon heroes. Even by today's standards, he's still awesome as hell because they're still making movies about him. But when you kill him off just to make room for a new guy and then bring him back because fans pressured you so bad, kind of makes you feel like you made a bad choice. If your character's so beloved, don't kill him off to make room for a new guy only to bring him back later. That's kind of lazy. Because now, anytime Prime dies, he's coming back. It's literally called, it's called the Optimus Prime curse. If you die, you're coming back. Regardless. But let's go over some other stuff because I wanted to get that little thing out of the way. Characters overall, I do like them. Everybody really gave it their all in this movie, with voice acting included. The action was awesome. It was nice seeing all these fan favorite characters at least on the big screen and stuff like that, even though most of them died. The music. Oh my god, the music is probably actually the best part of this movie. Because you have Vince DiCola doing the orchestral instrumental stuff in the background. But we have like NRG, Spectre General, Stan Bush, Lion did the Transformers theme. Like every song in this film is awesome. Weird Al has a song in this, Dare to Be Stupid. Like every song in this movie is pretty much hummable or singable. Anybody can sing these songs. They are so iconic. Like I have the entire soundtrack downloaded. It's that good. Would I say that this is the best Transformers film? I don't know. I really don't know. Because, again, I really loved Rise of the Beast. Last Night sucked. Bumblebee was really good. Age of Extinction was meh. Dark of the Moon was fun. Revenge of the Fallen was decent, but the first 2007 film was really awesome as well. This film, on the other hand, it's actually kind of something magical, actually. I really do like this movie. And even if you don't go in, if you go in blind without seeing the first 2 seasons, you kind of can know what's going on. But if you did grow up the first 2 seasons, everything in this film matters. Like, if you're a big Transformers fan from the cartoon and you watch this movie, everything matters in this film. Like, every character is pretty much important because they're going to be going on to the next season and stuff like that. Every character that's dead, pretty much dead, and it's going to leave a big impact on you. Would I recommend this film to, like, everybody? No. This movie is not for everybody. It's a basic toy commercial and stuff like that, but as a fan, I do recommend it. This is a very fun film if you're a hardcore Transformers fan. It stays true to the film, to the series. It continues on afterwards, following the same continuity. Like, every character from this film that was introduced pretty much comes back. Wreck-Gar's a character in the film. Unicron's head pretty much comes. Starscream's a ghost. And he even returns in Beast Wars for a moment. Like, it's really freaking cool. So, as a moviegoer, like a regular moviegoer, like you don't care about the whole franchise and stuff like that. You didn't grow up with it. You just want to go in for a movie and stuff like that. Probably a 5.5 or a 6 out of 10. But as a hardcore fan of the franchise, I think an 8. I think a solid 8 out of 10. It's got its flops and its problems, again, with every character dying just to make room for the new guys and stuff like that, when it would have been pretty good if they all still were alive and interacting with most of these already existing characters. But I'm glad with what we got. I grew up with this film. I mean, this is the 20th anniversary, so this is pretty old because they just released another anniversary on Blu-ray and stuff like that. So, yeah. If you're a hardcore fan and you haven't seen this film yet, but you watched the G1 cartoon, I definitely recommend this movie. If you're a regular moviegoer, give it a shot and understand what we Transformers fans grew up with as kids. Or even to today's standards. If you're a Transformers fan of today, watch this film to understand what we all went through as, older Transformers fans, because this film sparked a generation. And with where we're at now in Transformers films, it looks like they're trying to go back to what this film started. And again, Unicron's a planet eater. We're getting Scourge, Terrorcons. It looks like we're going to get Dark Energon mentioned soon. Probably the Matrix is going to play a big part in this future in these next upcoming Transformers films. This old stuff really does matter as a Transformers fan, because it's really starting to go into what we understand now and where we're going in the future, except with G.I. Joe. Yeah. But yeah, highly recommend this film if you're a fan, and if you're a regular moviegoer, give it a shot. You might actually enjoy it. But yeah, regular moviegoer, 5.5 or a 6 out of 10. Hardcore Transformers fan, definitely an 8. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next film. Take care.